Okay, everyone, I'm going to get started. Thank you for attending today's technical assistance training. My name is Jesse Ortiz, and I am the Pair Play Program Coordinator for the Houston Housing and Community Development. My goal is to ensure that contractors and subrecipients are provided with all the information they need to ensure that there are no issues with Pair Play compliance throughout the duration of your contract or agreement with the City of Houston. In today's presentation, I will go over the details of the Pair Play program, who is responsible to comply with the POP program, an overview of the POP background and purpose, and provide you with an update on recent policy changes that apply to Pair Play. Make sure to stay tuned till the end of the presentation to ensure that you are properly informed of all recent policy changes and updates in regards to Pair Play. Please keep in mind that this presentation is being recorded, and we will send out copies of the presentation after today's meeting. Our division contact information is shown on the page. Keith Bynum is our Deputy Director, and our Division Manager is Crystal Boyce. My name again is Jesse Ortiz. I am the Houston Housing and Community Development Pair Play Program Coordinator. My email is jesse.ortiz@houstontx.gov. My office number and cell phone are shown on the page. If you have any questions throughout the duration of this presentation or at any time, you feel free to reach out and I will answer your questions accordingly. A few topic discussions for today's presentation include Pair Play program definitions, Pair Play program requirements, how to submit your Pair Play submissions to the B2G Now website, closeout evaluation, frequently asked questions, and additional resources in regards to Pair Play. Okay, Pair Play program overview. The Office of Business Opportunity oversees the Pair Play program. The Pair Play program started in 2007 with Executive Order 1-7. It is to ensure that contractors that do not provide or offer health benefits for their workforce impose a burden on the public and private agencies. So one of the main reasons why the Pair Play program came into existence was to help offset these burdens on the public and private agencies. So the City of Houston came together and decided that we wanted to have a workforce that had health benefits and that were offered minimum requirements that met city requirements. The city intends to enhance fairness in the competition for contracts between bidders that choose to offer health benefits and those that do not. Again, we want to make sure that the companies that are contracting with the City of Houston have a fair opportunity. So that's the reason why we want to make sure that all vendors are complying with the POP program and are offering benefits that meet minimum requirements. For more information, please see Executive Order 1-7, and at the end of the presentation, I will have a link to that executive order, or you can also find it on the Office of Business Opportunity website. It goes over all the details of the POP program, requirements, and policy, including the updated policy that I will be going over today. POP program definitions. POP covered contracts include $100,000 for prime contractors or subrecipients that are directly contracted by the City of Houston, or $200,000 for subcontracts or contractors that are not directly tied to the City of Houston, but to the prime or subrecipient that is directly contracted with the City of Houston. This is an instance where sometimes there's confusion. The $200,000 mark also includes any change orders. So if your contractor or your subcontractor starts off at $100,000, but by the end of the contract, their paid amount is over $200,000, the city will require that contractor to provide health insurance and from the onset of the project. If you have any questions regarding any of your subcontractors at any time, or any questions regarding that, you feel free to reach out. Professional service vendors include engineering firms, accounting firms, and the like. Any vendor that's working on the project, and even if they're on site or not, was required to provide their vendors health insurance. Now, we're only looking at the employees that are actively working on the project. Now, for instance, a project manager that's overseeing subcontractors is required to have health insurance, or any type of employee that's inside, even in the office, as long as they're working any amount on the project. And now we do utilize LCP Tracker as a means for compliance purposes. So what I'd like to say is, if as long as the employee is listed in LCP Tracker, that employee should be offered health insurance. In addition, construction firms and service type contractors have to provide or offer health insurance that meets city requirements. Supply vendors are exempt from the Pay or Play program. If you have any questions on whether your company or your subcontractor is a supply vendor, what I like to use is the 51% rule. If 51% of their total service is supply or procurement oriented, then they would be considered a supply company. And you can discuss with me if that's an instance in one of your contracts or vendors. In addition, on-call, work order, and job order solicitations are required to comply with Pay or Play if they meet the $100,000 threshold or the $200,000 threshold for subcontractors. For more information, you can see Executive Order 1-7. There are instances where we do have POP exempt contracts or contractors. Supply and procurement contracts, again, 51% or more rule. If it's a supply vendor or if it's a supply contract of the city and there's let's just say 51% of the contract is dollars or meant for supply purposes, then it would be considered POP or could be considered POP exempt. We would still have to get that approved by the Office of Business Opportunity. Any type of intergovernmental contracts will be considered exempt from Pay or Play. It does have to have the language intergovernmental in the agreement somewhere, or something related to interlocal. Just just a definition of that would be more government to government contracts. The majority of our contracts in HCD will not have an intergovernmental contract agreement. So majority of contracts that we would see will be required to comply with Pay or Play. So now we do have a technical assistance training quiz. Feel free to put your answer in the chat box, and I will provide the answer in a short second. Well, there you go. Sorry about that. Which of the following type of contractor will automatically be exempt on a POP covered contract? So just to go over it real quick: A, service contractor; B, supply contractor; C, subcontractor whose contract is less than $200,000. All right, since you already know the answer, it's B and C. So just to clarify again, a supply contractor is 51% or more of the contract amount will be considered a supply contractor, and subcontractor whose contract is less than $200,000 will automatically be exempt from the POP program. Now again, in the instance that the subcontractor amount goes over that $200,000 mark or the threshold, then they would at that point have to comply with the Pay or Play program. And if you're having any contractors that are coming to that point, if you're not sure, feel free to reach out and we can discuss. POP covered employees include employees over the age of 18, employees that work at least 30 hours or more for your company and any amount on the city contract. It also includes 1099 or independent contractors and all Section 3 employees on DR17 projects. So if you're a firm that hires independent contractors, for instance, you're a trucking firm or another type of company that hires a bunch of independent contractors, just keep in mind that if that contractor is working over 30 hours a week for your company, then they will be required to be offered health insurance. A lot of times what I see is independent contractors, they work full-time occasionally, and then part-time the rest of the time. So in some instances, you're just paying, if you're not gonna provide health insurance, you're just gonna pay on the weeks that they work over the 30 hours a week. Now for all Section 3 employees, I ask that you submit a list of all Section 3 employees for each vendor that are working on the project. And you can do that at the onset. But if I do not receive a list, I will send you a reminder on the monthly status reports. And in addition to the 30 hours, if you have a part-time employee that's working, let's just say seasonally, but they're working more than 30 hours, they still have to have health insurance. So if you have a summer intern or something, they would still be required to have health insurance regarding the City of Houston requirements. So we have another pop quiz. Which of the following does not consist of a POP covered employee? Please go ahead and submit your questions in the chat box. All right, keep in mind that the covered employee again is an employee that would have to comply with the Pay or Play program. All right, okay, I'll give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, so the answer, employee working for a supplier. So again, an employee working for a supplier will be exempt from the POP program because a supplier is automatically exempt as well. Employees over the age of 18, independent contractors will not necessarily be exempt. So will not be exempt, I apologize. Okay, POP program requirements. Okay, as Lakeisha mentioned, the 3 forms that are required prior to pre-construction or the start of the project are the POP 1 through 3 forms and the B2G access form. The POP 1 and 2 form, the POP 1, 2, and 3 form is required by the prime contractor that's directly contracting with the City of Houston. All other subcontractors only have to submit the POP 2 form. And I ask that you submit that to me via email as well as an LCP tracker under the POP forms document section. So at the time of audit, we make sure that we have all the documents we need so that all the contract is in compliance with the Pay or Play program. The B2G Now access form is required for any company that is, let's just say, new to the system or doesn't have access already. If you have access, you don't necessarily have to submit this form. But if you have a couple of different employees that are going to be overseeing Pay or Play, then we would definitely have to have their information in the system so that we can send them the information or send them correspondence regarding non-compliance. And you can get with Lakeisha Reynolds on these documents if you need them at the onset, or you can reach out to me via email as well. Okay, regarding contractors that pay or do not offer health benefits that meet city requirements, there is a $1 an hour fee for each hour the employee works on the city contract, up to 40 hours a week per employee. Now again, the employees have to be full-time employees. And so as long as they're working over 30 hours or more on the contract, then they would be required to have the health benefits that the city requires. And the submissions need to be submitted to the B2G Now website on a weekly basis. And regarding the payment for the pay vendors, there is a payment portal in the B2G Now called the Chase Payment Portal that vendors can submit payment on. Now, for quarterly workforce submissions or companies or organizations that provide health insurance that meets the city requirements, their submission, they are required to submit on a quarterly basis to the B2G Now website. Now, one important change to keep in mind, and one of the policy updates since February includes that employer cannot contribute no less than 75% of the covered employee total premium cost per month. Now, again, we're looking at single coverage only. If your employee is offered insurance that they have to pay no more than 25% of the total cost for single coverage, then it would still meet the city requirements. That's gone up from 50% originally, and will only apply to contracts that start after January 2021. So if your project started before that, you wouldn't have to worry about this, but if it started after, then you would. Now, POP 8 employee waiver. Now, there is instances where an employee can be considered exempt from the Pay or Play program. That includes individuals or employees that are under the age of 18, those individuals that have health insurance with their spouse, or those employees or individuals that have insurance through Medicaid or Medicare. For each of those we do require proof of health insurance. So if an employee indicates that they have insurance through their spouse, Medicaid or Medicare, we do have to have a copy of the insurance card to verify the information that is included in the POP 8 form. We also have an exemption for employees that refuse or reject the insurance. As long as the insurance meets the city requirements of 75% rule, again for new contracts, then the Office of Business Opportunity will review it and will determine whether or not it will be acceptable for a POP waiver. If it is accepted, then you can include that employee as an exempt employee, and you will not have to pay the fee for that employee. Okay, we have another POP. Acme covered employee Angela is offered health insurance that meets POP minimum requirements, which must be true if Acme is a play vendor. Again, play stands for vendors that offer health insurance. Please submit your questions to the chat box. All right, so I need at least one person to guess. Anyone want to guess? All right, so yes, it's A. Thank you. So Angela pays no more than 25% of the total cost of her personal health care costs. So again, it's a new policy update. The city employee or the contractor will have to provide health insurance that pays at least 75% of the total cost of coverage, and the employee cannot pay more than 25% of the total cost. It is important to recognize that a play vendor will have to submit on a quarterly basis, so they're not exempt from submitting their submissions, and they do not have to submit on a weekly basis. I do get instances where vendors, even if they're placed, still submit on a weekly basis, so I again have to inform them that that's not a requirement. It's just the main thing that you have to be aware of is that you have to submit your copy of your health benefit package or a copy of your insurance invoice with each submission if you are a play vendor. Again, if you have any questions on how to submit, you can feel free to submit a chat question or email or call me after the presentation. Okay, next section is how to submit to B2G Now. Now, B2G Now is our new pay or play portal or management system. It's actually about a year old now, but it's still fairly new for some of our contractors. If you have a project with the City of Houston now and you utilize B2G Now, we're still making updates to it. So there are instances where the updates will streamline the process, so it'll try to avoid the duplication of having to submit multiple times. If you're a pay vendor right now, you're having to submit an LCP tracker as well as in B2G Now, so a little redundant, but we're hoping in the next 6 months or so we would have the two systems streamlined so that you would only have to be submitting in one system, an LCP tracker, in order to submit your pay or play submissions. Keep in mind, whether you're a POP 5 or a pay vendor or a POP 7 or play vendor, you do have to submit into the B2G Now website under workforce audits, and later on during this presentation I will walk through a short demonstration on how to do that. We do utilize a Chase payment portal in B2G Now to pay the POP payments or POP invoices. It's imperative that you recognize that we're no longer receiving ACH or check payments in order to pay POP invoices. So please make sure that you or your subcontractors are aware that the only means to make a payment for pay or play is in the B2G Now website under the Chase payment portal. Now, at any time you have an issue with paying on the payment portal, make sure to reach out to me and we'll try to resolve that, because it's important for compliance that those payments are made within 30 days of sent or of receipt. B2G Now overview. This is just a quick overview of the B2G Now system, including how to view contracts in B2G Now, how to add employees, how to assign your employees to the contract, how to submit to workforce audits, and how to fill in audits and save and certify your audits. So if you want to log in to B2G Now, you're welcome to do that now and walk and follow along. Otherwise, just take some notes. The B2G Now website is houston.mwdbe.com. Again, if you do not have access to this site, feel free to reach out to myself or Lakeisha and we will get you an access request form. The first thing you want to do is go to your contracts tab at the top. And now I logged in as a city contractor, so this is the view for the city contractor. I'm going to go to my contract tab at the top, or you can do it by searching on the left side panel under search and contracts. Once you click on the contract tab, you're going to notice the contract number or all the contracts that you have with the city of Houston. Go ahead and click on the view button next to the contract that you want to submit your pay or play submissions on. At the top of the screen, once you click on the contract, you're going to notice a tab called Workforce Employee List. Go ahead and click on that. And then on the far right side of that page, you're going to see a Manage Employees button. This is where you're going to add the employees on the contract to the pay or play portal. Once you click on the Manage Employees button, you're going to see an Add Employee button. This is where, again, you're going to add all the employees. Make sure to indicate if the employee is an active employee or not, as well as the full name of the employee. Once you add the employee, you have to actively assign that employee to the contract. So go ahead and click Assign Employee to Contract. Go ahead and select the drop-down menu for employee and select the employee that you want to add to the project. Again, select the active or non-active employee status, as well as the craft. So pay or play or both will be the craft. And then attach the documents. Now here is where you can attach proof of health insurance. If you have an employee that has an exemption, you can attach it here as well. Okay, next section is Workforce Audit List. Now this is the tab that you're going to select when you're submitting your quarterly or weekly submissions. Notice on this page here that we do have a couple of weeks that indicate Add Audit. So what I've done is I've allowed you as a vendor to go in and manually add the weeks that you need to submit. Now, if you're a play vendor, you only have to submit on a quarterly basis. So just an example, calendar quarter, at the beginning of April, you're required to submit your first quarter submissions. And at the beginning of January, you're required to submit your fourth quarter submissions. So it's at the end, it's at the beginning of every new quarter. If you're past 30 days, let's just say it's May 1st and you have not submitted your first quarter submission, at that point you will be considered non-compliant. So make sure that you or your subs are submitting your quarterly submissions on a prompt basis, as well as your POP vendors, your pay vendors. that are submitting on a weekly basis. If they're past 30 days and they haven't submitted, they would be considered non-compliant. And I will verify non-compliance again on the monthly status report emails that I send out. Okay, once you submit your workforce audit, you can view it by clicking the view button. And then you have the ability to fill in the audit. If you have any work hours or submissions, let's just say you did not have any employees that worked during that quarter or that week, then you can also enter no work audit. Make sure to fill out one of these, because let's just say you enter all zeros, but you did not enter workforce audit, I will reject it as a because it's not compliant, or it did not follow the requirement. So make sure to enter no work if you did not work. And if you did work, just fill in audit and enter the hours. Or if you did, again, you don't have to enter hours if you're a play vendor. You only have to enter hours if you are a pay vendor, meaning you do not offer health insurance that meets the city requirements. Okay, so this is again for a pay vendor. The total hours are the hours that the employee works for your company. Make sure to fill out both columns, including the total hours and the work hours. If you don't enter one or the other, I would reject the submission. So again, total hours are how many hours did the employee work for your company, and hours worked are how many hours did the employee work on the city contract. Again, we only charge you based on the hours that they worked on the contract if the employee is a full-time employee or works 30 hours or more. Okay, once you enter all your hours and attach all your documents, again for play vendors or those that are offering health benefits, make sure to attach your proof of health insurance, which could include an insurance invoice for the quarter. So you do have to enter 3 months of your insurance invoice for the previous quarter, as well as a benefit package or something detailing the cost of coverage for each employee. And that's again required on a quarterly basis. So if you submit one invoice for the quarter, I would have to reject that, because this Office of Business Opportunity is now requiring that you submit all 3 months of the quarter as proof of health insurance. The name of the employee should be listed on the insurance invoice. Or if you don't have an insurance invoice, you can submit an insurance card, but as long as it's an updated card and you provide a benefit package that details the cost of coverage as well. And then for pay vendors, it's pretty simple. It's just the hours that they worked on the project and the total hours they worked on your firm. Once you save and certify that, I will send you an insurance invoice within 3 to 5 business days, and you will get the invoice to the user that is assigned to your company. And you have 30 days upon receipt of that invoice to make the payment. Again, the payment can be made to the B2G Now website via Chase Payment Portal. Have a next pop quiz. Feel free to put the questions or your answers in the chat box, please. I will read the question out. Company A has a covered employee that receives health coverage that costs the company 50% for single coverage. Okay, great. So the answer is D. Both B and C are correct. Company A does not meet POP requirements. Now, again, the reason why would be because of the change in the policy. Previously, that would not be the case. But because of the change in policy, even if the company offered insurance that covered 50% of the coverage, they would now not be considered compliant, and they will still have to submit the weekly workforce audits in the B2G Now system. Now, again, I'm sure if you're new to that, you're going to have some questions, so feel free to reach out to me after this presentation, or you can pose your questions in the chat box. Closeout evaluation. At the time of closeout, I'm going to review everything, and I'm going to ensure that all the POP documents are submitted. So for this prime contractor, again, that's going to be POP 1, 2, 3. For the subs, it's going to be the POP 2 forms, and then all the weekly and quarterly submissions in the B2G Now website, as well as the exemption forms. Now, again, make sure to submit your proof of health insurance to the B2G Now website on a quarterly basis. If you do not submit your proof of health insurance, then I will not be able to accept or approve that submission, and your company will be considered non-compliant with the Pair Play program. You'd also have to make sure that all subcontractors or prime contractors have paid all outstanding POP invoices by the time project closeout comes up. If your subs are not paying, again, I will be sending out the notifications on a monthly basis for those that are outstanding or past 30 days. Make sure to include all the termination of work or start of work notifications in LCP Tracker. The main reason for this is it helps correspond with the weeks that they submit. So if I notice a subcontractor is no longer submitting to the B2G Now website for the pay or play, I will go and check LCP Tracker for termination of work letter, and as long as the termination of work letter corresponds with their submissions in B2G Now, then I would be able to approve and close out that vendor in the system, so they will no longer receive the workforce audits. Just a note on that end: if you do have a vendor that is coming to completion, a subcontractor, make sure to notify me so that I can take them off the audits for the Pay or Play program, so they will not have to be receiving those emails any longer. Frequently asked questions section. There's about 7 of these, just so you have an idea of time. Okay, so frequently asked questions: do only employees working on the job site have to be listed on the workforce audit submission? Again, that question came up earlier. No, all employees who work on the city contract, whether on-site or in the office, have to be included in the workforce audits. As a reference, I utilize LCP Tracker as a means for checking. So whatever's in LCP Tracker should match. Now, in the instance that you have a vendor that's not submitting an LCP Tracker, just go ahead and submit the information as accurately as possible in B2G Now. And then if I have any questions, I will reach out to you. But again, any type of project manager that's working on the project, let's just say you are a prime contractor, and your employee or your project manager is not listed in LCP Tracker, still go ahead and submit them in B2G Now and provide a copy of either their health insurance that meets city requirements, or if they're paying, or if you're paying on that employee's behalf, go ahead and enter their hours in the system. Even if they work less than 20 hours on the project, as long as they're working full-time for your company, you still have to enter their hours in the system. Number 2, my employee has insurance on his or her own, and my company does not pay for it. Does that mean we are considered paid? So only companies that offer or supplement the cost of insurance coverage for their employees will be considered to be play. Again, play is regarding those companies that provide or offer health insurance that meets city minimum requirements. If your company does not offer or supplement the insurance your employee has, you will have to pay and submit weekly workforce audits on their behalf. So I do have instances where some companies, they don't have insurance directly for their employees, but they pay a portion of it. As long as your employee can verify that, and they can submit a document that shows that you're supplementing their income or supplementing their insurance, then we would be able to approve that as a submission. Otherwise, you would have to pay on their behalf. Now, if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out again anytime. Frequently asked question number 3. I am a subcontractor on a City of Houston contract, and my contract ends before the prime contractor finishes the job. Do I still have to submit POP submissions or workforce audits? So again, the answer is no. Just make sure to have a termination of work letter in LCP Tracker, or send me an email. Preferably the prime contractor send me an email or call me that letting me know that subcontractor is no longer on the project, and I will remove them from the workforce audit list compliance notice. Frequently asked question number 4. Do subcontractors have to comply with the POP program if they are not MWSBE or Section 3? So again, all professional service, construction, or general service contractors whose contract or paid amount is over the $200,000 threshold have to comply with Pair Play. In addition, all Section 3 employees on DR-17 projects must comply with Pair Play. Again, the main thing I'm checking for is that the employee has insurance. So if they're Section 3 employees, they have to be offered health insurance. If they do not offer health insurance, that company will have to pay on that employee's behalf. So please make sure to have each company or organization send me a copy of all Section 3 employees. And I will make sure that those companies have access to submit on their employees' behalf. So whether or not the contractor surpasses a $200,000 threshold, in this case, it does not constitute exemption from the POP program if they have Section 3 employees working on their project. Frequently asked question number 6. Does any of the POP payments to the POP benefit my company? And the short answer is no. Unfortunately, we do not have a means to relay any of the income or revenue from the POP program to any of our contractors. But the POP program payments are inputted in a contractor responsibility fund and sent to different organizations to help offset the cost of the uninsured in Houston. For more information on the POP program and revenue, you can visit the Office of Business Opportunity site, as well as see the Executive Order 1-7 for more information. If you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out. Okay, we're closing up. Additional resources. Now, I have created videos, training videos on how to submit to B2G Now B2G Now. So if you have not received that video and would like it, feel free to email me or call me or put it in the chat box, and I'll send you that information. You can also go to the Office of Business Opportunity homepage under the POP homepage to view all the documents that pertain to the POP program, including POP 5, POP 7, and POP 8, as well as Executive Order 1-7. So if you're new to the POP program and want to rehearse get more information, that's a good resource for you. And again, if you would like me to send you these links, just feel free to email me or put it in the chat box, and I'll send you all the information. So that concludes the Pair Play program portion of the technical assistance training. Does anyone have any questions? All right, if there's no questions, please remember that you can always email me at jesse.ortiz@houstontx.gov for any questions. This concludes today's technical assistance training. A reminder that surveys will be sent out to all attendees. Please make sure to fill out these surveys, as they provide valuable feedback for our team for future technical assistance training events. If you would like a copy of today's presentation, please reach out to one of our employees, or Karen Franklin, and she will send over a copy of that to you shortly. Okay, on behalf of the entire contract compliance team at the Houston Housing and Community Development, it's been a pleasure presenting today's technical assistance training to you. We hope you have a great day. Thank you very much for attending.